Let's kick into payment solutions. So Adyen. This is a payments platform of choice for a lot of the world's leading companies, providing a modern end-to-end infrastructure. It connects directly to Visa, MasterCard, consumers globally, and all those preferred payment methods. These guys deliver frictionless payments across online, mobile, and in-store channels. They've got offices all over the world, and Adyen serves customers. I'm talking Facebook, Uber, Spotify, Bonobos, Casper, and L'Oreal. Right now, I would like to welcome Brendan Sheldon, who looks after the enterprise sales and APAC for Adyen. Brendan's going to share the latest in e-commerce payments and what that means for your business. They've seen a structural shift in the way that consumers are transacting, whether that's a buy online, pick up in store, order ahead and pick up at the restaurant, or just a simple returns process. Join Brendan right now. He's going to unpack these changes and see how a unified payments platform can help to increase those conversions, expand your business, and give you peace of mind. Welcome, Brendan.
Thank you, and thanks for the introduction. Hey, everyone. I hope you're having a fantastic time so far. Thanks for sticking around and attending this session. I hope you've had a great last couple of days. All right, so first of all, what is Adyen? Adyen is a payments technology platform. We're basically a single platform to process all of your customer payments end-to-end. So that's via any channel. So in-person payments via laptop or mobile, etc. Via any payment method. We offer over 250 payment methods as part of the platform, in almost any geography, in almost any currency. And as part of that single platform, that includes all of your revenue optimization, so like conversion optimization, fraud management, financial reporting, etc. Joining me on the line as well from the Adyen team, we have Shell, our APAC's partnership director, and Moritz from our APAC sales team. They're both going to be monitoring the chat. Please keep it interactive. Note down any questions you have as we go through. I'll be chatting for about the next 15 minutes, and then we'll have some time for questions at the end as well. All right. So as mentioned, there's been a bit of a structural change in payments over the last couple of years. So customers have really changed the way that they pay, and businesses have had to adapt to that. It was brought on, obviously, by COVID, but most of those changes now, consumers, so they've adapted and they've now kept for the convenience. So I'm going to run through some of those changes we've seen. We're going to talk a little bit about what customers now expect, and what our merchants are asking from us in return, and then how Adyen can help your business. We'll come to this. We also have a host of fantastic e-com plugins for your business. And so a shout out to the Commerce Tools and Adobe teams who've been participating over the last couple of days. That's just a couple of the plugins that we offer. Okay, so on to what's happened in the last 2 years. As everyone remembers, around April 2020, in-person payments, so people paying in a store, almost stopped, but people didn't stop spending money. So businesses were scrambling to get their online delivery, their online payment channels up and running because they had to, and customers have stuck with those options long term. If we stay on in-person payments, so this is data that we see from the Adyen platform globally. Pre-pandemic, around 28% of in-person payments, only 28% were using, say, the chip in card or using the card on your smartphone. That spiked up and has now reset at a level of around 42%, because people have taken out a card with a chip, or they've bothered to finally put their card in their iPhone, and now that's the way they pay out of habit. In markets like Australia and in Scandinavian countries, that percentage is now up over 90% of payments in person are contactless, using tap and go or smartphone. We saw a huge increase in omni-channel transactions. So a lot of businesses who didn't have multiple channel options opened them up. And so we're seeing this both for online businesses as well as physical businesses. People are transacting over, say, app and their regular ecom website, or they were just transacting in store, and now they're using, say, the mobile ordering service. And so across the Adyen platform, we've seen a 400 increase in omni-channel transactions. And those shoppers tend to spend twice as much, interestingly. So what we see across our platform globally is that people who are just spending with you on your ecom store, or are just spending with you in store, is spending about half what an omni-channel, someone shopping with you across multiple channels, is spending. Here's some trends that we're seeing. I'm going to go through some UK and US trends. I'm going to relate it back to some APAC and AUNZ market examples as well. So in the UK, pre-pandemic, around 20% of payments were e-commerce payments or online payments. That's now stepped up to well over a third of payments, and that's across the UK. In the UK, we're seeing similar changes. The UK e-commerce market is set to eclipse $1 trillion this year. And by 2023, it'll be more than double what it was in 2019. So massive shift, huge dollars there moving across. And this is consistent with the kinds of trends that we're seeing in Australia, New Zealand, across Asia as well. A little more diving into the US, pre-pandemic online grocery sales was 66 billion. It's already more than double to 122 billion. And this is a classic example. I'm sure everyone at some point, if they weren't ordering groceries online before, they tried that through the pandemic. And what we're seeing is a lot of shoppers are sticking with that. So they'll use a weekly or a couple of times a month, they'll order online, and then they'll go in-store for their top-up shops. So a previously only in-store customer has now become an omni-channel customer. And so really part of what's driving this, it was a necessity, but now it's the convenience. So if we look at Cyber Monday just a couple of months ago, almost one in five orders, instead of being delivered to home, was for click and collect, curbside pickup options. That's something we're seeing more and more in Australia and New Zealand as well. Really high value items started being purchased more and more online. You can buy a Tesla online with a credit card. This example here, this is a betting company in Sweden. This is about a $2,000 NZD purchase. Whereas previously, this wasn't the norm. A great example in Australia and New Zealand is Michael Hill Jeweler. They started taking online consultations for people shopping for engagement rings that still wanted to get engaged and things like that. They're able to show the ring someone could select, and then they were using Adyen to send a payment link to that customer so that they could transact. One that I'm sure we've all done, I know I certainly do this. I have 3 cafes close to me, and only one of them actually does online order and pickup. So if I'm a bit lazy or if I'm rushed around lunchtime, I jump on, I click and order a burger or a sandwich, and I go up the road and I pick that up in 5-10 minutes. So I'm making a choice to go with the business that's giving me more convenience when I need it. And another really interesting one is we've seen what was traditionally, I think pre-pandemic, would have always been 100%. If you're in a restaurant, you're always paying in person up at the counter, or they're bringing a device out to your table. Now we see this from fast food restaurants up to like one-off higher value restaurants having codes at table with the ability to look at the menu and transact online. Again, it's something that is there as a COVID safe option and is staying for some of the convenience. So onto the trends of what we're seeing from customers. What do customers expect? They expect COVID safe options, and they've loved the convenience of those. So they're expecting them to continue. Customers want to be able to pay using their preferred device. And we're seeing more and more of a rise in mobile. So need for businesses to ensure that their checkout is and their UX is optimized for mobile is really important. They want to be able to pay the way they want as well. So when they get to the checkout, they don't want to have to go and find their card. If they want to pay with Afterpay or Klarna or something like that, they want to be able to seamlessly use those options. And of course, they prefer to have their payment stored. So for me, and that cafe up the road example, if I know I want the burger, I want to be able to open up the menu, click burger, click pay, and then pick up in 10 minutes. And for those of you who are selling physical goods like in fashion or homewares, etc., customers that buy online also want to be able to seamlessly return that in store. So as an example, you buy something in black and you realize, oh no, I should have got the gray. If there's a store close by and it's convenient for you, you want to be able to go past that store and say, hey, I want to swap this item over, or I want to return this item. And what we see there from retailers, also two things. First of all, if you're not using a single platform to recognize purchases across channels, it's really hard for your store staff to manage that. And secondly, we see people spending more. So when someone comes in for a swap or a return, they often then see something else, or there's a chance for the customer service staff to then sell something additional when the customer is face-to-face. It also saves the customer money by not having to spend money on the returns, or if you offer free returns, it saves you business money as well. And of course, customers are always seeking to be rewarded for their loyalty as well. So knowing who they are, recognizing when they're spending with you across your various channels becomes really important, which is something that Adyen provides. So I've mentioned a little bit that we develop for what our merchants require. So here is just some of the merchants that we work with. If you focus in on the center, some of the brand names there, Adyen has been going for over 15 years, and our mandate basically is to always build to the needs of our merchants and requirements of our merchants. And so we look at the demand, we look at what the finance teams across these companies are telling us they need for reporting and back-end information. We're looking for what the UX and product teams are telling us they need to be able to offer forms of payment, etc. We're looking at what the IT teams are telling us in terms of integration types that they need to be able to offer. And for every single improvement that we make on the Adyen platform, it's available for all merchants. So what this means for merchants that aren't on this list or aren't similarly large organizations like the ones on this list is typically when it comes to you expanding out channels, geographies, requiring more payment methods, the platform has already been building out to cater for you. So what are the merchants that we work with want and talk to want? Increased conversions. It seems obvious, but of course, merchants want to be getting as close to 100% conversion of customers hitting their checkout as possible. They want to be able to easily expand their business. So if they want to open up channels, geographies, methods of payment, etc., that they can do that. And Adyen, we offer that via a single integration and a single contract. And then peace of mind. So knowing that their needs are being taken care of, that we're helping them manage fraud and risk, and that they basically don't need to worry about payments working. To be honest, some people in business find this part really boring, and you really should just be focusing on selling a great product. You need to know that you have a great payments partner that has your checkout right end to end through to the money landing in your bank across all channels, just taken care of. And so this brings us to kind of the traditional value chain. The traditional setup that merchants have is often going out to multiple separate parties. So a party for gateway, they may use risk processing, go out to a separate acquirer. We find that this has basically gaps in it. Innovation is hard and it's often expensive because there's so much involved. For Adyen, we have everything on a single platform. So the moment your customer is looking to present their card or use their preferred method of payment, across all the risk management, processing and acquiring to the funds in your bank. What does this mean that our merchants can focus on? Global growth. You don't have to worry about expanding new channels, new geographies. You don't have to worry about whether or not you can offer key payment methods. And also, there's a really robust fraud engine. So we actually just announced our annual report, and we processed 500 billion worth of transactions for our merchants globally. With all that transaction information, we're constantly optimizing to make sure we're maximizing the acceptance level and minimizing the fraud level. So our fraud tool is constantly learning from all those transactions going across, which really positions us uniquely to know what a genuine shopper is that's trying to transact and not blocking them, and ensuring that any bad shoppers are being blocked as best as possible to minimize that fraud. Another great feature of everything on a single platform is we have constant support looking after all of our merchants globally, and with offices around the world. Today we have Australia and New Zealand support on at the moment. We hand off to APAC, hand off to Europe, hand off to North America, Brazil, and hand back to APAC. So there's always coverage. And for merchants, we also have some fantastic ready to go out of the box options. Shout out to some of the Overdose partners. So these are just a few of the great ecom plugins that we have available. And what does this mean? If you're going to use one of these to plug into Adyen, basically a fast go live. So you're talking about once your account is set up, a day or days instead of weeks to go live. It means you have access to the latest innovations, which really means you've got the tools and the setup to just then focus on revenue growth, know that fraud and revenue are both being optimized. All right. Well, thank you very much. We might jump onto some questions now.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Brendan. I'm now going to bring one of your colleagues in. This is Cheliyan. He is going to share with us a little bit more around Adyen and some of those questions. So,
hey everyone.
Talk to us. What ecom integrations have you guys got?
Yeah, I think Brendan hit on a few platforms we have integration with. So we have got commerce tools, BigCommerce, Magento, Shopware. What's cool with some of these integrations is that we actually built these in-house or with a deep partnership with these platforms. So when it comes to like troubleshooting or issues, you're not having to log tickets with two separate systems to figure out where the issue is. If you have a payment problem, you can come to Adyen. Because we own kind of the whole value chain, we can troubleshoot the whole thing from the beginning to the end. But like adding on top of that is actually, we also have multiple integrations with POS systems. So beyond doing online, we actually do offline payments as well. And that is super important because if you're trying to do unified commerce, you need to have a single payment backbone kind of powering both. If you think about like a customer journey, if you want to buy online and return in store, if you have a separate system powering your offline payments, which is typically a bank, you can't do the refund very easily, right? So when you have this kind of single payment provider that's doing both, besides getting incredible data, you can actually do these cool customer journeys as well.
All right. Can you guys offer Apple Pay and buy now later, pay later? Is that an option?
Yeah, I can take that one as well. Yes, absolutely. So we work, I think you saw some of the logo slides. So we're fortunate to work with some of the biggest merchants in the region globally. So they kind of drive our roadmap. So we make sure that we have capability with the most prominent kind of payment partners that are out there. So Apple Pay, yes, absolutely. It's a default. And what's cool is like for Magento, for example, we've got integration with their PWA application as well. So if you have an online checkout experience, imagine using kind of the native Apple flow to do the checkout, which usually increases your conversion rate because it's got the authentication kind of right built into the Apple iOS, which is fantastic. And then I guess the second part on the buy now, pay laters, again, we do have integration with Klarna, Afterpay, Zip, more on the Asia side. We got GrabPay, we got some other ones coming out as well. So those are, again, using our plugins. That's something you get right out of the box. As long as you have an account with them, you can just hook those up.
Fabulous. This one's a good one. This is, I would say, is probably a common misconception as well. Is Adyen a platform for large enterprises only?
Sure, I can take that one. So it's been built in conjunction, absolutely, with large enterprise. Is it for large enterprise only? No, not at all. I'd say if you're looking to work with some of those partner plugins that we put up on screen before, if that's the stage that your business is at, as in that's your level of requirement, that's really the time to start having a conversation with us.
Amazing. All right, well, let's crack into that last question, and it's usually the one that always comes up. Is Adyen expensive?
In short, I would say no. So we only price on a transaction basis. So there's no like account fees, setup fees, all the rest of it. You pay for the transactions that you process, payment methods that you use to process those transactions, etc. And I'd say if you actually just look at our default pricing online, if you've started up a channel with something really kind of click and go, you'd probably see that our pricing is more competitive.
Fantastic. Well, thank you both so much for coming through and answering those questions, especially just providing your expertise to our merchants and those who are here viewing live. Thank you both so much to Adyen and the team. Appreciate your time.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.